It's your girl Leslie, and welcome to my channel. So hey guys, it's honestly been a little bit, and I completely apologize about that. The only video I remember that I've recently posted is something about Dark Lincoln Lou Woods and a Yandere reader. Sadly, the author didn't really finish that. For unsuspected and sad reasons. They did say that they were going to continue another story that we are currently not reading, and y'all would have to check it out. Today, this video is not about creepypasta. It's not even about Carnage X Reader that we are still reading in the process. Today, in this moment, and it's gonna be different because today's gonna be different. Today's story, and well, today's story is about FNAF, and it's not just any FNAF. It is not a fan fiction of FNAF. It is the official book of FNAF. And I mostly know what you guys are thinking. It is an actual book. How am I going to read it to you guys? Am I just going to read it out loud while, y'all ain't going to see any of the words? I might be mispronouncing or something like that. I'm not going to do all that. I'm not going to make you guys see my face while I read it, mispronounce it multiple times, and practically make y'all have a death stroke while you watch this video. No. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that evil. I'm not that evil. So this is what I'm going to basically do. Enable for you guys to see the text. At the same time, hear me read. And at the end, well, see my face. Like usual. So here's what it's going to basically look like from what I got ideas from my friends, myself, and then what I'm thinking and what I think would be best. Okay, so there is going to be a black screen. Or dark purple screen. Whatever color I feel like that is dark. For you guys to read in the dark or something like that. Then, the text is either going to be, at least in this area, which is like a medium, a little bit bigger than what usually you would read the fan fictions where I read from Wattpad was like this. It's going to be a little wider. Or I might take up the whole screen, like a lyric video. Maybe. I might do that. I might just do that. And then for the chapter stops or anything like that, I'll just change it and then I'll put it to where it says certain things that might be important. I forgot what those called. The chapters. Duh. There's not really chapters existing on this, but there are certain pages that will look like this. Give me a minute. Let me pull it up. Like this. A static TV and something like this. And then writing on the inside of it. Y'all can see that. Yeah, we're going to read that. Which I will try my best to make it look as cool as possible. But yeah. Or I might take a picture of one of the pages. And I might just put it in the middle to where you guys just can read it nice there. And then it would change into another page if I continue reading. And if I stop reading, it's just going to stay on that page until I show my face again. So it's going to be a little bit different, but not too different, You're still not going to be seeing my face while I read because, I make weird-ass face expressions. And I read weirdly in a weird position. So I don't read like this. But yeah, it's going to be a bit different for us. But I thought that this would be a really good idea to do because I really wanted to read this with you guys. In reality, I do want to read this book as well. Yes, this is not out of order. This is numero 7, which I didn't mean to. I got this book first. I do have 2 other books that are comic versions of the series, I think. And I don't know if I'm able to show you guys those actual images, because they actually look really nice. I don't know if I'm going to get copyrighted for all of that. I just want to check first before I do any of that. But for now, we'll be reading this book. And I have maybe some other books that you might be interested in for me to read. I am still going to be reading fan fictions, but I'm going to also mix it with actual books like FNAF. And I think you guys be pretty interested in it. Either way, if you guys don't like it, I'm still going to do it because I really want to read this with someone at least and not feel as lonely reading it. Because I have a struggle with reading books unless, I'm reading it with someone and someone's interested in it too. And I'm pretty sure most of you guys do miss the FNAF X reader I did read. So apologize for that. They have not posted any new ones so far from what I remember. I don't think it's gonna come back anytime soon. If you guys know any good FNAF stories that you want me to read, please let me know in the comments down below. I did put two good FNAF stories that I did find that were quite interesting. I put it in the last weeks ago videos. You might want to look into those. You might find the link to 2 stories. See which one you want me to read. See which one you like. Comment down below which one you want me to read. If I do mess up on a word, I will probably either get Google or someone to say it for me and actually say it correctly. If I do mess up, maybe not. I don't know. But the correct word will be up there. Like long, big words, I literally cannot say. Main characters and all that, we'll talk about that in the end. But, anywho, without further ado, because we're already taking way too long with this intro, y'all. Without further ado, let's get straight into this motherfucking story. Okay, y'all, like I said, we need to get... oh, shit. I almost dropped my glasses. Look, let's get straight into it. Let me quickly pull up the first page. There's a couple of pages I do need to skip because they're not part of the actual book. So, okay, so I'm guessing this is chapter 1. The Cliffs. Tyler knocked his sippy cup off the table. Again. Careful, buddy, Robert said, picking it up and setting it in front of his son. Robert tried to feel relieved that his already well-worn copy of How to Handle the Toddler Years, which he jokingly called the Owner's Manual, assured him that it was perfectly normal for toddlers to knock over cups, throw food, and demonstrate an often overwhelming amount of emotional instability. Just because it was normal didn't mean it was easy. Play phone? Tyler said, eyeing Robert's phone on the table. Robert set a bowl of cereal and bananas in front of Tyler. It's not time for you to play with Daddy's phone. It's time for you to eat your breakfast and get ready for daycare. Tyler, distracted by his bowl of Cheerios, sliced banana, and his sippy cup of milk, began happily eating. That's another thing about 2-year-olds, Robert thought. Their emotions turn on a dime. When Robert had last taken Tyler to the pediatrician, he had unloaded on her about Tyler's wild mood swings. The pediatrician had just laughed and said, "Welcome to parenthood." She had then promised him, as she always did, that the task of parenting would get easier as Tyler got older. But when would it get easier? When Tyler was 3? When he was old enough to start school? When he was in college? Tyler knew that for him. The hardest thing about parenting was that it was something that he had to do alone. He had never planned to be a single parent, but he had no choice now that Anna was gone. Robert had met Anna his junior year in college. He had never believed in finding the one theory of romance. Surely, there wasn't just one person in the whole world who was right for you. And yet, his and Anna's connection was immediate. They loved the same books and movies, and when they started having more serious conversations, they discovered that they had shared deeper values too. They dated through the rest of college and got engaged right after graduation, agreeing on a 1-year engagement to give them time to get used to being real grown-ups with real jobs before they got married. Robert settled onto a steady but not terribly exciting job with a local lifestyle magazine, and Anna got a position as a first-grade teacher. They got married barefoot on the beach, and both sets of their parents chipped in to help them out with a down payment on a house. Their little bungalow had seen better days, but it still had plenty of charm, especially for young, energetic, first-time homeowners who were willing to put some elbow grease into renovating it. The only downside, as far as Robert was concerned, was the house's location, right next to the town's most notorious geographical feature, the cliffs. Although these rocky outcroppings possessed a rugged beauty, they also had a grisly history. The highest of them was nicknamed Jumper's Cliff by the locals because it was a common site for suicides over the generations. Damn. It seemed that everyone knew of someone who had chose to end it all at the cliffs. The jilted high school homecoming queen from Robert's mother's generation, the businessman who lost all his money due to the bad investments, the grandmother with a terrible terminal cancer diagnosis. There were stories about the cliffs that were fact, and stories that were fiction. But true or not, these tales made people look at the geological features with a mixture of fear and awe, especially Jumper's Cliff. Teenagers gathered there and creeped each other out with scary stories. Younger kids whispered about the ghost of the department still haunted the place where they had chosen to make their final leap. Make that their final leap. Robert had grown up hearing those stories, and the cliffs creeped him out. Anna insisted that, while the suicides themselves were sad, the cliffs were just rocks. They didn't really mean anything. Besides, the house's proximity to the cliffs was why it had been such a steal. Attributing any dark meaning to the cliffs was nothing short of superstition. Robert knew she was right, and once they moved into the house, he was so happy with his new wife and his new life that he hardly thought about the cliffs at all. When he looked back on it, the first year of their marriage was a blissful blur of love and laughter. In his mind, he could play out the scenes from that first year like a montage in a romantic movie. The two of them riding bikes together, cooking dinner together, cuddling in front of the couch with a big bowl of popcorn between them. Sure, one of them would sometimes have a bad day at work or come down with a cold, but these problems were minuscule compared to the happiness they took in each other's company. Although their first year of marriage had been great, the happiest time in Robert's life had come when Anna was pregnant with Tyler. They had been married for 2 years when they found out she was pregnant. They were both over the moon with delight. There was something about the idea that they created a new human because of their love. It almost seemed magical. As happy as they had been as a couple, they knew that they would even be a happier family. Throughout Anna's pregnancy, she had glowed like some kind of ancient mother goddess from mythology. Robert had glowed too, so full of love he didn't know what to do with all of it. He massaged Anna's feet when they were sore after she came home from teaching all day. He went out to fetch her some mint chocolate ice cream when she said it was the only thing in life that could possibly satisfy her cravings. They were in perfect harmony during her pregnancy. 2 dedicated gardeners growing their baby together. But then, things went wrong. 2 months before their baby was due, Anna started complaining of swelling in her hands and feet. When she called the nurse at the office, she had said not to worry about it, that swelling was common amongst pregnant women, especially in the hottest months of the summer. Reassured, Anna had bought bigger shoes and soaked her feet in Epsom salts, and otherwise ignored her symptoms. But when she went in for her regular checkup, her blood pressure was so alarmingly high that the doctor insisted that she be admitted to the hospital immediately. After that, things were a nightmarish blur in Robert's mind. all the IV drugs the doctors gave her in a failed attempt to bring her blood pressure down, the decision to deliver the baby early by whatever section in hopes of saving her life, the massive stroke she suffered on the operating table that left Robert a single father. For a long time, he was numb. None of it felt real. Since Tyler was born early, he was tiny and unable to breathe on his own without exhausting himself. He had to stay in the hospital for a few weeks until he gained weight and his lungs developed more. In the shocked days, Robert would visit his new baby in a neonatal intensive care unit. He would scrub his hands and put on a face mask before entering the brightly lit white room lined with plastic incubators, in which impossibly tiny babies lay. Robert would stand by his own son's incubator and look at Tyler's small, skinny body, wearing a diaper the size of a fast food napkin. The parents of other babies in the NICU always looked tired and worried like Robert did. But they arrived in couples, so at least they had each other. In horror, Robert would look at his son and think, "Kid, I'm all you have in this world." It wasn't a good way to start out on life, motherless and stuck with a father who couldn't eat, sleep, or go a full hour without crying. In his exhausted, grief-stricken state, there were only two facts Robert knew for sure. He was all that Tyler had, and number two, he was not enough. Robert had whatever that word is through the last 2 years, managing to hold down his job somehow and provided Tyler with food, clothing, and shelter. Robert had withdrawn from his friends because he didn't want to get their pity, and because, for a single father of a toddler, grabbing a bite to eat after work with his buddies was not an option. After 5 o'clock sharp, he had to leave the office to pick up... Oh my gosh, I'm messing up, sorry. He had to leave the office to pick up Tyler from daycare. After that, it was time to go home and fix up his supper. Then came playtime and bath time, and if Robert was lucky enough, and Tyler would actually fall asleep, bedtime. The toddler's owner's manual was clear. Without a regular schedule, life with a toddler would descend into chaos. Robert had quite enough chaos in his life, so he tried not to deviate from his daily schedule. Once Tyler was finally asleep, Robert mindlessly surfaced through the channels on TV or played Warrior's Way on his laptop. Sometimes, cat that is his name's too motherfucking long, the orange cat sat with him, but most often he did not. Bartholomew, I don't even know how to say that, had been Anna's pet before she and Robert had married, and Anna used to refer to him jokingly as my first husband, but because of the way he guarded her jealously and had never warmed up to Robert. Excuse me. Now, with Anna gone, Bartholomew would accept food or the occasional pat from Robert, but he never gave Robert the expression he was doing anything. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is too many big words. Damn. Sorry, y'all. But he never gave Robert the impression that he was doing anything more than tolerating him, because he was a dispenser of cat food. Was Robert lonely? Yes. Painfully so. But he was also too busy and exhausted to do anything about it. After Tyler's bedtime, he allowed himself 2 or 3 hours of mindless screen time of one kind or another until he fell into bed himself, knowing that he was going to wake up to a day that was clearly identical to the one before, with the type
and duration of Tyler's mood swings being the only wild card. Right now, though, as Tyler was contentedly picking up Cheerios and stuffing them into his mouth, he was adorable. His hazel eyes, the same shade as Anna's, were framed by long, sooty eyelashes. His curly black hair surrounded his head like a hollow, and his mouth was a rosebud, also like his mom's. In fact, Tyler resembled his mother so much that it made Robert's heart hurt. Looking at his son, Robert felt overwhelmed by love, but also by fear. What if he lost Tyler like he had lost Anna? Over and over, what ifs playing on the screen of his mind like a trailer for a movie no one ever wanted to see. Even though Robert couldn't look at Tyler without thinking of Anna, he never talked to Tyler about her. Tyler was too young to understand death, and Robert wasn't doing such a great job of understanding it himself. In his heart, he knew it would probably be a good idea to start showing Tyler pictures of his mom and telling him little stories about what kind of person she was, the things she used to say or do, how excited she had been about becoming his mommy. But he could never bring himself to take out any pictures of Anna hidden in the attic. If he tried to talk about her, the words stuck in his throat, and he said nothing. Even saying her name hurt too much, especially because when he looked at Tyler, he was staring into Anna's eyes, like he did every weekday morning. Robert choked back his sadness along with some black coffee and drove Tyler to daycare, letting him play with his phone all the way. After he had dropped off Tyler, he went to work, only nodding at colleagues who greeted him with a good morning. He didn't want to seem rude, but he didn't want to get into any conversations either. His own reactions were too unpredictable. Once he started talking, what would he say? Would he get all emotional in front of someone he didn't even know very well? Would he break down entirely? And if he did break down, what if he wasn't able to put the pieces back together? Robert knew that no matter how bad he felt, he'd still have to hold on to his job. It was the only way he could make any kind of life for Tyler. And so today, like almost every other day, he sat at his cubicle and started working without stopping, trying to empty his mind of everything but the task in front of him. He stopped at noon and took a sandwich, eating it so mindlessly that once he finished it, he couldn't even have identified what kind of sandwich it had been. He walked to the bathroom, then to the water cooler. He was refilling his water bottle when he then heard a voice behind him. "Hey!" He jumped as although startled that he wasn't the only person in the building. He turned around to see Jess, the nice whatever copy editor and self-confessed grammar nerd who had been hired at the same time he was. She and he used to chat a bit before Anna died, before he was broken. "Hey, Jess," he said, moving away to let her have a turn at the water cooler, and, he hoped, to go back to his desk without being disturbed further. He turned to walk away. Hold up a sec, Jess said. Me? Robert said, even though it was clearly him she was talking to. Reluctantly, he turned around. "I was just noticing you eating your little sad sandwich at your desk." Jess filled up one of those weird paper cones with water from the cooler. Who had decided that those were adequate drinking vessels? You know what? I wonder the same thing. Why? She grinned at him. Well, maybe it was a delicious sandwich, but It looked sad to me, and I was thinking, I know you can't go out after work because you got a kiddo to fetch, but a lot of us go in for half the price sushi on Wednesdays at lunch. Maybe you could go with us sometime? Sushi had been Robert and Anna's favorite food. They had learned to love it in college and had also learned to use chopsticks together, picking up sushi rolls, dunking them to soy sauce, and popping them into each other's mouths. While a lot of couples went out for steaks or seafood, or Italian for special occasions, for them it was always sushi. How could go how could going out for half price sushi with a bunch of random people from work live up to all those romantic sushi dinners with Anna? The answer was simple. It couldn't. It would only bring back the memories to make him sadder. Still, Jess was nice for asking him, for taking pity on him. Yeah, maybe I'll join you sometime, Robert said, not even trying to sound convincing. Thanks for inviting me. Okay, Jess said, sounding surprisingly disappointed. Robert? Yeah. He didn't know where this was going, but he knew he didn't like it. Wasn't this a workplace? Shouldn't they be working? She looked down for a minute like she was collecting her thoughts. You know, she began, before things changed so much for you, you and I used to be friends. We used to talk. If you ever want to talk again, I'm here. Robert knew that he was in danger of his emotions bubbling up to the surface, which couldn't happen. He couldn't be a basket case at work. He had to get out of this conversation and get back to his desk. That's very kind. Jess rolled her eyes. I'm not being kind, you goof. I like you. I've always enjoyed your company, and I'm a single parent too. Not for the same reason you are, maybe, but I bet we still go through a lot of the same stuff. Talking about some of it might be good for our sanity. What's left of it. Robert felt himself smile a little, against his will. He was remembering why he liked Jess. I'm down to crumbs myself, he said. It was a joke. But, like a lot of jokes, it contained the truth. I hear you. And who knows? Maybe our kids could hang out, and we could take turns watching each other's Rugrats so we can maybe have an evening out once in a while. Don't make any promises. You haven't met my kid. Okay, y'all. This is our stopping point because I don't want this video to get too long because I actually want to, upload it. We stopped at chapter 14, which is pretty damn good. Okay, cool. Now back to my face.
So hey y'all, we back. Y'all see my face again. Bad bitch, period. Okay, y'all. So we have some new characters that we just got introduced to into the story. So without further ado, let's get with the characters. So number one, the first character we have that we were introduced to is the 2-year-old Tyler. His father is Robert, which is our main character so far, or practically for the whole story. Till something bad happened. I don't know. And then his mother, Tyler's mom, was Anna, that has sadly died due to some complications that I still can't figure out. Y'all can explain to me in the comments. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. And then his friend, Robert's friend, Jess, that, is a single parent as well, as we discover, and wants to hang out with him sometimes so they can have, chill moments together and whatnot. Robert, for right now, in the current moment we're reading in, is very sad, depressed, and very upset that he lost his wife, which we both, with all my heart, I understand. I feel bad for this poor guy, We just got to know this guy. I don't think I've heard a guy named Robert in the FNAF theories or anything like that. Not that the FNAF lore is fully indignantly connected with the normal lore we see in the video games, but it could be coincided. Like, it could be side by side, but they're not going to be mixed together. They're like side by side, different stories from different perspectives. We will never know until like we watch Game Theory or something like that. Because I know he's figuring out the whole damn system. Whole damn system. That's all we got so far out of the story. And that Tyler, mood swings, well, not simple. That's a kid. Okay, that's a kid. That's normal. That's all we got from the story. It's getting slowly more interesting. I'm really excited about that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me reading this as much as I enjoyed reading it with more complications, but that's alright. I'll do it for y'all because you know what? I love y'all. And you know, this is a new way of doing things and I like doing new things. So, yeah. But anyways, guys, I sadly got to go a little early so I can actually be able to post this video. If you guys have any more questions, suggestions, yada yada yada, comment it down below, please. And I'll try and answer as fast as I can. Zippity zappity boop. But for now, I got to go. Bye and peace, y'all.